Stop scrolling for a second. If you hold Apple, this number should scare you. Right now, people are ditching iPhone for Samsung's Galaxy Z. Over half the buyers lining up for the new Galaxy Z Fold 8 are teens through their 30s, not middle-aged professionals, the demographic that's always belonged to Apple. Young women in that same group are buying at more than double last year's rate. And this number does not mean what you think it means. It's worse than a simple exodus. Give me 8 minutes. I'll show you exactly why. Here's the conclusion straight up. Apple is not collapsing because Gen Z walked away. It's shaking for 3 real reasons. It's losing ground in China, memory chip costs are about to crush margins, and on foldables, the next real battlefield in smartphones, Apple has to lean entirely on its biggest rival just to compete at all. That Samsung comeback number from the hook is real, but it's not an iPhone exodus. It's Samsung stealing Apple's next generation of buyers before Apple has even shipped a foldable product of its own. Here's why, one signal at a time. Why does this matter? If you panic sell this headline or you dismiss it as clickbait fake news, you're wrong either way, and both mistakes cost you money. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which parts of this story are real signal and which are just noise built for views. And you'll be able to tell the difference the next time a scary headline like this one shows up in your feed. I'm Moon. I track where the real money moves behind headlines like this, not where the clicks go. If you've been asking yourself, should I actually be worried about Apple right now? This video is your answer. Hit subscribe, and if it helps, drop a like too. Here's what we're covering today. Where the money is flowing from and to, who's actually moving it, what you need to watch next. So, is everyone really dumping iPhone for Samsung? No. Piper Sandler surveyed over 10,000 U.S. teens, and iPhone ownership sits at 88%, near an all-time high, still holding at 87% into the fall, with 17% already planning to upgrade to a newer model. Here's what people don't get. 2 things can be true at once. Teens still overwhelmingly buy iPhone, and Samsung's foldables are pulling in young buyers and women for the first time ever. Those are 2 different stories, not one. But YouTube thumbnails smash them together and sell it as Apple is collapsing. This isn't people leaving iPhone for Samsung. It's young people picking up a foldable as a second device while keeping the iPhone in their pocket. But don't relax yet. The real signal isn't teens leaving iPhone. It's Apple risking the next generation of buyers entirely, and that's structural, not emotional. Let's get into it. Money. From where to where? Global smartphone shipments are set to drop 13% this year, roughly 1.1 billion units, but not evenly across brands. Apple is the only major brand with a positive, improving switching rate, people leaving other brands for iPhone. In plain terms, the overall pie is shrinking, and Apple is still grabbing a bigger slice inside it, which is exactly what you want to see in a stock that survives a contracting market. But here's the threat hiding inside that same shrinking pie. Memory chip prices are spiking industry-wide, and manufacturers, Apple included, may be forced to cut lower-cost lineups just to protect margins. Apple has pricing power to absorb some of that shock, but it isn't free and it isn't guaranteed to last. Watch the next earnings call for how it actually hits the numbers. Who's moving it? This whole dumping narrative didn't start with consumers. It largely started with analyst reports warning of shipment drops and headlines that spread faster than boring good news ever could. It's simple psychology. The human brain remembers a reversal far more powerfully than a confirmation. A story about a once dominant company collapsing triggers a reaction that a still going strong headline never will. That reaction drives views, and the algorithm keeps rewarding it. So the same narrative gets reproduced over and over. But the institutions actually moving real money aren't watching that narrative at all. They're watching switching rate, cost ratios, regional share, the exact numbers we're covering right now. So where should you actually be looking? Apple's first foldable iPhone wasn't built alone. Samsung Display just landed an exclusive 3-year deal to supply its OLED panels, and Samsung proposed those terms first, not Apple. Apple accepted them, with initial volume planned around 3 million units, expected to launch within the year. Why? China's BOE, which supplies Huawei, couldn't meet Apple's durability and yield standards, and LG Display has zero track record mass-producing foldable phone panels. Samsung was Apple's only real option, not a preference, a necessity. For the next 3 years, the most self-reliant hardware company in tech has to follow a rival's roadmap on its next big form factor. If Samsung pushes the technology forward during that window, Apple has no choice but to follow the pace on Samsung's timeline, not its own. Is China really falling? Not right now. Apple's China share jumped to 18.1%, up from 13.9% a year earlier, second only to Huawei inside a market that shrank over 4% overall. But that recovery isn't Apple getting stronger. It's Apple simply not raising prices, while Oppo, Vivo, and Xiaomi were forced to because of that same memory chip spike, making iPhone feel relatively cheap by comparison. IDC warns that once this low-cost cushion runs out in the second half, China's decline could widen back out to around 20%. So this good number isn't coming from Apple getting stronger. It's coming from competitors buckling under cost pressure, and when the cause disappears, so does the result. Remember 2023. Huawei's comeback with its own homegrown chip tore a huge chunk of share away from Apple almost overnight. In China, Apple's wins can evaporate fast. And here's the trend flipping everything. Foldables used to carry one image, the bulky dad phone middle-aged guys used for work. That image just got completely flipped in a matter of weeks. On the new Galaxy Z Fold 8, over half of pre-order buyers are teens through their 30s, women's purchases more than doubled from the last model, and global pre-orders jumped over 30%, driven by a slimmer passport-shaped design in pastel colors like cream, pistachio, and lavender. Instead of a bulky productivity tool, it now reads as a fashion item people actually want to be seen with. Apple's foldable iPhone is launching right after Samsung broke that old man image wide open. Apple hasn't shipped a single unit yet, and its rival already has the mindshare of exactly the young buyers Apple needs most, meaning Apple's usual playbook of waiting for a category to mature and then taking it whole might not work this time. So what do you actually check going forward? First, services revenue growth versus the hardware slowdown. Services carry far higher margins, so a growing mix matters. Second, China revenue, quarter by quarter, watching for that second-half dip IDC warned about, or a recovery that actually holds. Third, foldable iPhone sales against Samsung's young buyer and women buyer numbers. How much of that segment Apple wins back? Fourth, any sign Apple is building its own foldable supply chain during this 3-year window with Samsung. These 4 numbers will tell you where Apple is actually headed far more accurately than any headline. You're probably thinking, but the stock's fine. China share is up. Isn't this all overblown? Right now, yes, none of this is fully priced in yet. That's exactly the trap. Markets tend not to move until a crisis actually shows up in the numbers. The good news, China's recovery, the switching rate, is already public and probably already priced in. The bad news, that this recovery is really just competitors buckling under cost pressure and that Apple now depends on a rival for its next big product for 3 straight years, hasn't shown up as hard numbers yet. When it does in an earnings report or second-half shipment data, it'll hit fast and hit all at once. Watch the numbers before the headline does, and you won't get shaken out by the swing. So no, Apple isn't losing Gen Z. It's quietly repositioning, and the real risk is sitting in data most people never bother to check. Don't make an emotional call based on a headline. Go check it yourself. Protect and grow what you've built. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one.